Here's the second part for July 22nd. We are just finished, actually a while ago, thank you to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any finance. Actually a non-interest charging loan for 3 hamburgers, $11, so it was a good price. And now I got this to carry back in the backpack. Got some food, not that heavy, I would say overall would be 44 pounds. So heading back to headquarters from my old neighborhood. Nothing that I will to go back to, of course, but here we are on the toes. Sunset and sunrises. Saw Jurassic Park Rebirth, very good. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind seeing it again, but because we missed Superman, so it's gonna be next Tuesday. Today is the 22nd of July. Financially stressed, but rent's paid, electricity bills paid, and got food and coffee, and that's what we got 24/7, you know, for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and firefighters, plumbers, electricians, and those welders, crane operators, always for them on the go. Sunset and sunrises, those are gonna pick up the recycling, the garbage here, public workers. See, that's all public worker work, and you know, that's what we got, and that's what we got on that drill here, you know, as we are going from my old neighborhood to my new one. Gonna cross on the other side towards the side of the sun. You know that's the one. Gotta sing that rock and roll for the truckers on the road, for the butchers and the plumbers and the nurses and the doctors, firefighters and the electricians. You know, that's how we rock and roll. Just so that you gotta know. Grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, living with this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's, and sometimes we focus on little details such as that number, and always appreciating a little bit of that beauty, that embellishment of the public sphere by the decorations and the work, arbeit, and the brains and the muscle to put those flower pots, public spaces, embellishment by the public workers. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're gonna cross on the other side, but that's why I wanted to get a little bit of that clock in to take a zoom in on that little public garden. And it's always something which we gotta appreciate, and love my flowers as I go back to my headquarters now. And gonna be a few hours today, I guess a total of 4 hours as we march back, as we marched coming up north and then going south and roundabout, and we jogged earlier, so it applied a little bit of that extra pressure. I guess tomorrow I'm gonna have to take a bath. And it's Tuesday, July 22nd, Wednesday. Always gotta be grateful, thankful for today. So I survived COVID 2020 between mid-February 2020 and mid-March 2020. I had COVID, of course, and since then I take it every day, carpe diem. So here I am from my own neighborhood as I check out the sun, gazing upon these beautiful buildings, and just grateful, thankful that I was able to afford, because you know that money finance with that currency is equal unit of exchange, to watch a movie for $5, and I didn't go over budget. Gotta get around that budgeting, tough economic times, and I put on the table my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, which is partly, of course, a theory which can, of course, bring some solutions in the complexities of today, you know, where we are today, of course, where the tough economic times are undergoing, and it's getting worse every day where the prices are increasing. But hey, saw children happy, joyous, playing around, my fellow cousins doing some of that sports, fitness, jogging, which is one of my special interests. And on the side there, you got an interesting looking flower pot with a garden with these beautiful big structures which are residential, and doing a little bit of meditation. As you know, I'm calling for the big census, the big imperial census, you know, to be implemented, and that's how we got. And That's how we gotta get doing like that, you know. So that's we got, and of course, so that's how we gotta get drilling, you know. And it's always a little bit of that mindfulness on my long marches, meditation vlogs, and saw some people hugging, kissing, and the youth joyous youth. Some jumping up and down, dancing a little bit in the streets. You know, dancing is my favorite sport. Rainbow Dragon is also priestess. Adrian Hannah Dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Rock and roll 24/7 for the firefighters. Firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, daycare workers, those who change some diapers in the daycares. How those 3G, 4G, 5G towers planted up east, west, north, south from the Hawk Island, Montreal. Independent artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and of course strategist, because I developed strategies, geopolitical strategies for the North American Collective, and suffered, struggled, and been depressed, been suicidal. And I guess in the past years since I moved, it's like my fourth rebirth, you know. I thought I moved in 2016 July, but it ended up that I moved in 2015 July, according to my friend and my landlord. And you know, I got that rah retrograde amnesia. I have trouble accessing memories from before, you know, from before my spring 2014. There's just like a blackout of my memory, integral internal memory, you know. Causes vary. Could be, I don't know if I did hard drugs before spring 2014 or if I drank a lot of alcohol, because both doing drugs regularly and hard alcohol and alcoholism and drinking too much alcohol can cause it. And I don't know if I was any involved in those activities intensely, but it also can be caused by trauma or even prolonged sickness and illness. And where I used to live in the old neighborhood there, called N.A.C.W.P, was very moldy. It was like an underground prison type of prison cell, and lots of mold, small mold, like bigger, thick mold, lots of mold, black, white, reddish, greenish type of mold. And of course, it's like a tight prison cell. So I moved from there, and I thought it was 2016, but it's 2015, and that's kind of my life started again. And I was attacked by surprise a few years ago when I lived there, and hit my head on the concrete in the Montreal, and on the island, Hawk, H-A-W-K, my totem bird, the hawk, the hawk, and the Hawk Island. And that's how we are, and that's how we do it, the Hawk Island, Montreal, you know. Hawk Island, Montreal. I fell, hit my head. And of course, being here to do it again, what the case is may be that you want to get that rock and roll with it, but I fell, hit my head, and put it of course on the Discordium, and was bloodied up, and had to dislocate a right arm, and fell, hit my head, and I survived, went to the Jewish General Hospital, and was replaced, put on some medications for pain, and I was like in a coma type of state for a few days, coma-like state for a few days. And you know, I got those blackouts of memory. What matters most is all my work, especially post-COVID, and especially from today. It's like carpe diem every day with hope for tomorrow, you know. And life is short, and don't will to waste nobody's time. You know, you want to be a friend with benefits. I don't have lots of friends, but if you want to be a friends with benefits and pledge your allegiance, that's how we're gonna drill. And I don't will to waste nobody's time, you know. Life is short. I'm all about geopolitics, studies, analysis, theorizing, sports and fitness, rock and roll, and dancing is my favorite sport, and loving. You know, I'm not only neurodivergent, but I'm part of the LGBTQ community, androgynous, pansexual, and part of the LGBTQ community. If you wanna LOVE with me, or black, white, black, man or woman, and you gotta be of age, and that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get drilling for a little bit of that, and we gotta get on the, you know, that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta have, you know, lovers. Love is good. I always enjoy to see couples, and I like to matchmake, you know, make double love, hug like you never hugged before, with consent from me too, and do, you know, sometimes what you love. If you're a millionaire, billionaire, you know, fight a little bit of that selfishness. I'm not totally selfless. I don't make pretense to be totally selfless and for the other as well as I am for myself, and that is something which has to be a little bit of balance, equilibrium and exordium, and you know, it's always a little bit of balancing the disequilibrium which we have internally, and mostly my problems come from the fact that we have, of course, something which we got and something which we got internally, and that's what we gotta do, and that's what we gotta get doing on that love, and that's what we have to be doing, you know. So yeah, I live with Asperger's, memory loss, and live with my scars and flashes of trauma, but here I am, you know. Here I am, loving as much as I can within my classification, you know, as an individual citizen. As an individual citizen who's part of this tiny minority of citizens who live with the neurological mental dimension known as Asperger's. That's discussing the art here. The art on the side is French, and it's interesting that it's 2017. And wow, I thought it was 2020. It's older than I thought, I guess. And my memory dates back well to 2017. Actually, 2017 is the year when, in summer, I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event really changed my whole life. Crossing Canada coast to coast really made me come out of my depression and being suicidal as I was, and that's when I established the strongest reader core with my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, and brothers and sisters in North America who I consider family. You know, sometimes we're dysfunctional, but yeah, even if we're dysfunctional, I can both agree that this is a beautiful, colorful work of urban art right here in the corner of the concrete jungle, and among these things which are going to be, of course, recycled, or somebody's gonna pick some books, and I still have to finish my books first, but you know, maybe somebody's gonna rummage through that and learn something new, because I like to read, and I read hundreds of books, not thousands in the past. You know, I would say 11 years with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, and fighting depression for a few years, fighting suicidal tendencies for a few years, and finally coming out of it when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event changed my whole life, made me come out of being depressed and being suicidal. And that's, of course, one moment, one event, major event, because it partook over a few weeks, right? Because it was August 2017 when I went out west from Montreal to Vancouver, BC by bus, 3.5 days by bus, and that was in 2017. And then in September 2017 came back and went, of course, in Halifax, Nova Scotia by bus again. So that was a beautiful moment event, longer, not just on a daily basis, of course, because it partook over several weeks, and that's how we gotta do that, rock and roll for that. And that's that gratitude for me being able to traverse Canada coast to coast and to establish that esprit de corps, who I consider Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans my family, my brothers and sisters in the USA, because I am also a mystic, proud to being an artist, athlete, philosopher, and geopolitical theoretical honest and theorist. I'm also a mystic, and you know, I know slightly sparks of my past incarnations, and sometimes I was born a man, sometimes I was born a woman, a man, a woman, a man, a man, a woman, a man. That's how you get that 50-50 now. The sun shines, beautiful sunset. I guess we could apple it and walk in reverse a little bit and do a little bit of salutations as we're gonna clock it in by Westmount. And the crow crowed 4 times. Crack, 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 crack. Says, know your secret, but I forgive you. You're not perfect. I said, yeah, I know. I'm not perfect. I have a little. I want to have some justice for myself, for others, to bring some joy, some purpose for myself and for others, for myself and others, and some pleasure for myself and others, and get those 44 tunnels built in case of a thermonuclear war, because we are, of course, in a position where we are close to a thermonuclear war. So if you don't know what I'm discussing about, of course, is the proposition and the called initiative to build 44 mass tunnel structures in case of a thermonuclear war, to be able to be capable to salvage a certain percentage of the North American collective population. And that's where we usually go, by the mountain. Now we're gonna pass by my second home by the side, because I'm heading straight to HQ headquarters now. You know, as we passed by yesterday on that Monday, instead of going to the river, we went by the mountain. So we always alternate to the mountain. Most of the times my second home, the Mistress Forest on the mountain right there, Mount Royal, Belvedere, Conjurenac, and then sometimes by the river, and then straight to my Dragon's Lair, which is of course the Dragon's Lair now. Bigger than where I used to live. I used to live there. It was a small type of prison cell before 2015, you know. Supposedly I moved in July 2015, and much of my life prior to like spring 2014, I guess, for now remains a mystery, although I have written documents and high school diploma, and of course journals. So journals which are of course written by myself, events in my life or desires and notations and struggles and sufferings. And now I'm smiling, because I know somebody else is going to make that good love, and my brothers and sisters who make their criminal rehabilitation take their second chance. That's also to be lauded, to be applauded, because that's how we rock and roll. As I rock and roll for firefighters, and I think that's Purple Loose Stripe. As I rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue, I also got to rock and roll for my brothers and sisters who do their criminal rehabilitation. So it's always something that's hypothetical, in parentheses, and parallel to all that's undergoing now. All the truckers, the bakers, the butchers, and I just got served, of course, myself for the fast food. My anonymous friend loaned me $11 Canadian to buy 3 hamburgers. So I guess I had dinner already. Now I'm just working on that dinner, and you know, those who flip burgers now, gotta salute them, march for them, chant for them, rock and roll for them. All those who pick up the garbage, and of course across the 63, the 10, the 50, and the 3, which we're gonna merge my way, who are now of course flipping some burgers, flipping some cheeseburgers, flipping some of that rock and roll, and flipping some of those. Yeah, that's Purple Loose Stripe, see? Yeah, I think that's invasive species, but I don't think it's detrimental. Maybe now it's home here. Maybe it used to be. I remember reading about it a few years ago, 6, 7. I think when I went on the trip, I read about it, coming back or in Vancouver, about Purple Loose. About Purple Loose. Loose Stripe, you know. And that's how we're gonna go do it here by the side, and enter by Westmount and go another direction as we usually go. Most of the times we go zigzags, and you know, sometimes we operate on that sunset and sunrise. The sun always sets and always sun rises every second, and out in the west, you know, you still got some time zones, right? You still got some time zones. Those time zones are from Montreal to San Francisco, Montreal, Vancouver, and still got to subtract 3 hours. I'll be mindful on that, because I'm gonna have a good workout with everything that I'm carrying. And I think I ate just in time, because I was about to get a headache, because I didn't eat this morning. I was a bit under stress, and been doing some emails, doing some geopolitical work, because I do that every day. You know, it's always constant geopolitically and geopolitical theoretical analysis. And I gotta say that, of course, I take great pride in my geopolitical work, that I have, in fact, and I got proof for what I'm about to say, I have predicted the current geopolitical conflagration back in 2019. In October, November, I created a workout training program system, and of course, I had concluded that humanity again is set to go towards an international conflagration, and to the vast what has been happening ever since especially the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine, and whatever they term it as special military operation by Russia, it has been unfolding just as of course I had one of my multi-layer scenarios envisioned, and of course one of the main premise was due to the fact that many nation states, civilizational complex and regions had not fully resolved their conflicts, that these conflicts are going to restart in the 20th century. And for the most part, what you see now is exactly unfolding as my prediction, of course, had stipulated, because all the conflicts, the major conflicts that are reignited, are unresolved 20th century conflicts. You take the Middle East, Israel, Palestine, Israel, Hamas, Israel, the Arab world, and it dates from the 20th century, the Cold War period. Russia, Ukraine, potentially on the horizon. Taiwan, the ROC, Republic of China, and People's Republic of China, mainland China, and just recently, last month, the India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan work concurrently, unresolved geopolitical conflicts dating from the 20th century. So in concordium, for the most part, that's what has been happening in a parallel manner to my prediction dating from 2019, October, November. So whenever I discuss geopolitics, it's super important for you and all to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, and I have proof, I have proof of work that of course I had predicted what's happening now in a general manner. Of course, not every detail by detail, but in a general manner, I had predicted what's happening now back in 2019. Back in 2019, I had predicted an international conflagration coming in the coming XYZ years. I think it was the framework was 7+ years. And that's what has been happening. Of course, it was before I had COVID. It was October, November 2019. And it was also that I created what's now known as the General War Integrated Whole Body Training System, aka the Dragonomy workout, a simple, effective, efficient workout training program system which requires no equipment, and which myself have performed, executed more than 372 sessions. More than 372 sessions. Myself, of course, have done more than 372 sessions of the aforementioned workout training program system. I wish I could get my anonymous friend that one there. It's like be twins, and make it live next. Like I think it's one or it's two separate ones, but looks quite nice. Or one by the river, anywhere on the island of Montreal. The house for my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. So if you don't know, I'm just gonna discuss a little bit about Asperger's. It's Aspi again. This is the second part of the July 22nd March for the Empire Edition, and also for the workers, the truckers, nurses, doctors, daycare workers, those flipping some burgers, those on the go now, and those of course making the appellation. And I think somebody's calling, so